Hi, I'm Steve Fortunato, founder of Shovel the Sidewalk. We're a marketing firm in Buffalo, New York. We help small businesses build brands and create their advertising, and we do that through storytelling. It's authentic storytelling. And it's the best way, we believe, to connect people to brands and really the people behind the brand. Sidewalk Talk is an extension of that philosophy. On this podcast, we help share stories of influencers that have an affiliation with Western New York. Our goal is to simply help make connections. Today we have on this episode Chris Miano, founder of MemoryFox. Chris, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for taking time out of your day to come see us.
Awesome. Yeah, glad to be here.
So I'll let you explain, and am I right or am I wrong? You have a mobile app that utilizes user-generated content to capture and tell the story of community events. You're a storyteller.
Yeah, great. That's absolutely the bread and butter of what we do is storytelling.
Okay, explain how this app works.
Yeah, great. So it is ultimately a content management system integrated with a mobile app that you can control through the content management system. So on that content management system, you can create call to actions that you want people to answer in your community, and people within the community have the app. It's a no download app, so it's basically just a website that you can custom brand. They go to that URL, they'll see the call to actions, and then they can respond to that through stories, through video and pictures of basically of the mission in action. Whatever that brand's mission is. And I think of, even the big brands like Nike and so forth.
Well, you did one for Red Bull.
Right. And they would all consider themselves probably mission-focused organizations. It's not just nonprofits. And so your mission in action is your best resource. And being able to share amazing user-generated content about that mission in action, there's nothing more valuable than that in terms of marketing these days.
So, agreed. It's storytelling.
Yeah,
it's authentic
it's all
storytelling. So we're really connected. Our two businesses are really connected in that manner. But so Jane Doe's having a huge event. It's a big community event. It's in downtown Buffalo. They come to you. What are you supplying them? Help me understand how this works.
Great. So for the event, a couple days before, you go into the platform and you type in your. We have like a dashboard that you can go in. It's nice and easy to use. You go in, you create a new event, you name it, and then you create the call to actions that you want people to respond to during the event.
For example?
So if it's a nonprofit, you might say, tell us why it's important to donate to this organization, or tell us why it's important to volunteer to this organization. If it's like a fun corporate event, we've seen silly things like pretend you're interviewing a pelican. Tell us why, act like Free Willy was one of them, which was super weird. But like depending on the tone and the type of event and what you want to get out of it, you can prompt people to get the content that you want, and then they during the event can respond to it and provide you with the content that you want, and then you can leverage it however you want.
So they're using their phone.
Yeah, they just use their phone.
So it could be pictures though, but it
could be pictures,
video, right?
Could be video. We prefer video, and one of the biggest trends that we see right now is this concept of like micro videos, and I think you kind of see it with like TikTok and Snapchat and things like that. Is like videos are getting shorter, and so a nice 30-second video. That's all people really have the attention span for when they're, sliding through Facebook and things like that these days. And so being able to capture these 30-second snippets from your community of your mission in action or at an event, and then be able to like mash them up and create like a meta video that you can send to maybe your donors, or you could share on social media to your customers. But like we were talking about, it's platform agnostic. And so what's nice is, and one thing that we're very passionate about is like, I'm kind of a tech nerd in some ways, but what seen behind the wall of like the way Facebook works and the way Snapchat works, like these organizations are like what I call a self-licking ice cream cone. They exist to exist and to make money. They don't care about your story. They want to steal your story. They want to own your story, right? And so by having a safe, secure repository for your story, shifting that center of gravity from making them money to having your story be secure. And then now you can share on all the different social media types, right? TikTok, no one saw that. No one saw that really coming. And so every generation is having its own new social media platform. First it was, MySpace, and then it's Facebook, and then it's Instagram, and then it's Snapchat, and it's TikTok. In 5 years, there's going to be another one because every generation is going to want their new thing. Well, if you're just sharing your stuff directly to Facebook and Instagram, it's theirs. Where if you have a nice repository for your story of videos, now as times change and platforms change and all these diverse outputs change, you have a repository that you can share to each individual one.
Couldn't I just do that with Google Drive?
Yeah, great. And the awesome thing about Google Drive is, when we compete with it, is that it's not guided, so you're not guiding content collection at the different events. 2, everybody's using their own devices, and so every device records differently, so different qualities, different formats and things like that. And so parsing through that is difficult, matching that up to be able to do mashups. But the third piece is if they're watching this, they might get mad at me when I say this, but I got married years ago, and some of my best friends have still not uploaded to my Google Drive that I set up for the wedding. But no, in all seriousness, it's once the event ends, people sort of scatter to the 5 wins. And so by uploading that at the point of capture and synchronizing all the different formats so that it can be repurposed is important. Because once people leave the event, they're not thinking about the event.
So I'm at the event, and so the event planner or whoever it is that you're working with, they give me a sheet of paper or something, a flyer.
Yep.
And on that flyer it says, go to this website now.
Go to this website. Okay. And it's a custom website.
Right,
so
because it's based on my event.
Right.
So I go to that website. It doesn't have to be an event either, does it?
Does not have to be an event.
So I have an idea.
Yeah.
So you go to the event, and I go to the website, and then it says, hey, what do you think of Chris? And so then I can just take my video. Oh, this is great guy. Congratulations. And then I just upload it, and now it goes to my hub. Right? So I did it. I get what you're saying. So that goes to my hub, or your hub, whatever it is. So the company has the hub, and they have 50 people uploaded videos, but it didn't automatically. So it's another thing is that it controls the messaging too. It didn't automatically go. So if I have my we're a big company and our employees are uploading stuff to YouTube, whatever it is on Facebook. And that's what the problem with Facebook Live is. That could damage the brand. We're all about protecting the brand, shoved in the sidewalk. So this way, you encourage them to get this content.
Share away,
do it. But I have control over it. I'm like, he dropped an F-bomb there. Probably not the best thing for our brand. But this is really good stuff because it's authentic, right? It's just real stuff.
Yeah,
it's whatever that particular event is. So now I get that, and then I can distribute it.
How on the channels,
I think it should
because let's say you're a nonprofit and you have received a grant that is specific for, let's say, education, right? So you want to segment your content based on that grant so that you can keep them informed maybe monthly of how things are coming along. And so you could be an organization like some nonprofits here who have 100 different organizations that they support. And so right now you have to go, hey, everybody, send me your videos and pictures. And it's like, it's just impossible. And so creating a pathway for that each individual organization to send you content that you guide. So let's say you have a presentation coming up and you need to highlight something specific. Well, you can put that content request in there. People can respond to it. Now you have the video that you need for that specific event. But if you have like 100 people, organizations that you're supporting, synchronizing that content is impossible. And so it's organized as it comes in, and then now you can use it, leverage it, organize it however you want.
Another thought I have, we do a lot of, the Shovel Sidewalk does a lot of recruitment advertising.
Right.
It'd be really, the idea of an employer brand is the same idea as a regular brand if you're trying to sell something. In this situation, we're trying to sell connections to candidates, trying to get them to apply here. And the way we connect the company or the brand, the employer brand, to the candidates is through the best brand ambassadors, which would be current employees.
Right.
And it would be really cool to have current employees just whatever
it is.
Share their day, as long as there's not private information that can't be shared, to share some good thoughts, good things, and then they could just upload it right to the portal, whatever you call it, and then we can kind of, it was really good organic. That was really good, organic, authentic.
And that's what you want to see, right? If you're going to go work at a place, you're going to go ask somebody who works there. You're going to say, what do you think about this place? But if you're trying to do that at scale, like if you're a big organization, pick one here in Buffalo. It's not quite that simple, right? You have to be very controlled and measured about the messaging. And so by empowering your brand ambassadors, having that direct line to your brand ambassadors to send you video that you prompt them for, now it comes to you, and now you can do, like I said, do what you want. I mean, we worked with Red Bull or Compass, some other organizations out in San Diego, and they just used it for like cool corporate events, and they basically turned it into like a video scavenger hunt. And oh my goodness, I'm watching these videos and I'm like, I want to work at Red Bull. It's amazing. And like, maybe even Red Bull is not even a great place to work, right? But the videos were of people having fun, of doing fun things, and like that's their brand. That's what they want to show. And so empowering them to be able to do that, because right now at that event, they would have been like, okay, everybody take videos and upload either A, directly to Instagram, or B, after the events, upload to Dropbox, and like nobody would do it. Yeah, nobody would do it.
They won't do it. Really cool. So, did you come up with the idea because of your wedding?
So
you're pissed?
No. So this started way before that. I was actually in the Army for 8 years. I grew up here in Buffalo, and then I did college at Canisius here in Buffalo, and then I joined the Army for 8 years. I was a platoon leader in Iraq, company commander in Afghanistan. And one of the things that I learned while I was in the military is the power of storytelling to connect people, right? Because no one tells stories like soldiers. I mean, there might be some language that maybe is not appropriate all the time, but you get what I'm saying. And that's just how people connect in this world ever since the beginning of time. And when the biggest challenge of getting out of the military is your story changes. And the stories that you're used to kind of telling and sharing with people, now the context is completely different. If I tell my wife about like a traumatic event, it's received much differently, and it's a whole different exchange than if I had that conversation with another soldier. And if with another soldier, you're laughing about it. When you tell your wife or you tell your mother, it's a much different sort of conversation. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges that military have when they get out. And so I felt very, very disconnected when I got out. And I thought a lot about my grandfather, who fought in World War II, and someone I looked up to when I was a kid, but he passed away when I was young. And so I don't know anything about him. And I was like, man, what I would give to like have a conversation with him and hear his stories. And so immediately I went to Google, and I'm like, are there any apps out there that help you interview elderly family members so you can capture their story, before they have dementia and things like that? And there weren't. And I had a friend of mine, Lindsay Macaluso, at the University of Buffalo. And so we built an app that would help you interview elderly family members. And along the way, we had some nonprofits. My wife works in nonprofits. And they were saying, hey, storytelling is very important to our nonprofits branding. Can we use this, and can we guide it so that we can interview docents and donors and volunteers and staff, because our story is our most important asset? And I'm like, okay, that's actually a really awesome idea. I didn't think we'd go in that direction, but that's awesome. And then the next step was, hey, the best time to capture people's stories is at events. Because everyone's together, they're having fun, maybe a few drinks, and everybody's getting loose. And so along the way, just by kind of listening to customers and building the platform based on what people wanted, we became this storytelling platform for organizations, whether it's for events or for just storytelling in general. So that's how we got there, was really letting the market and letting people tell us what they want. And instead of me, like the first idea was mine because it was a problem I was solving. But after that, everything has been customers telling us what they want. And then you end up building this really cool platform if you're patient and you test and you listen to customers. It's a lot of fun building something that people like.
That was loaded. There's a lot to talk about.
Yeah, probably.
There's a couple things that resonated with me. Before I get into anything, I want to thank you for your service.
No, thank you. It was a privilege to serve. I cherish those years.
You obviously went through a lot. I read the Bronze Star there. You obviously you had to go through a lot of things.
Yeah,
and so when I know that you have a passion for helping others, no matter what the situation. But veterans making that transition,
it's huge.
I know it was difficult for you. You just told us that.
Yeah.
How are you doing? And how are you doing? Your transition's been,
I'll tell you what, it's all about finding your new place of where you fit in. So when you're in the military, right, you have a place. You know your rank, you know your job, people have had that job before you, and you just have mentors everywhere, great examples of leadership everywhere. But when you get out and you're thrown into this other world where of course people live normally, but like that, finding something that you're passionate about is so important. And I think that's why a lot of veterans kind of go towards entrepreneurship, because it's something they can make their own, and it's something that they can be fulfilled by. And a lot of them do like a lot of volunteer work and things like that. A lot of veterans kind of get towards that because you're looking for something that makes you feel bigger than just yourself. That's a big piece of the military, is like people think of it as like, oh, you're just a grunt or whatever. But the reality is, the real fulfilling part is being a part of a team and a part of something bigger than just yourself, and being able to. So if you go work at like a job that you're not fulfilled at, and you don't feel like you're part of a bigger something important, you miss that. And so it's hard to get that back, but I'm doing great because I'm surrounded by great people, like family members, like my father and mother, and I have friends that are awesome, and like they're very supportive of me and trying to figure out where my place is in this world. And it seems like, storytelling, right? I mean, it's core to who we are as human beings. And so being able to help organizations tell their story by leveraging technology, what better thing is there?
So, there's a high suicide rate.
Yeah,
of
absolutely.
Veterans. Say the veteran he or she is just back.
Yeah.
And they're fresh back.
Yeah.
What's your advice?
Find out what you're passionate about and have an honest conversation with yourself about what you're passionate about. And try to get into that world, right? I mean, the world will not come to you. You have to go out there and get it. Especially in the military, you're sort of on a career track. And like if you just hit all the points, you'll kind of move through things. And if you do a good job, but in the regular world, it's, you got to go get it. You have to say, I want to be this in 3, 4, 5 years, and you have to go get it. So find out what you're passionate about and try to be a part of that. And like we kind of talked about this earlier, but like if you want to be something, you have to be it. And that sounds like a weird reductive thing, but like you can't just say like, oh, I wish that I volunteered more, or I wish that I had a business, or like I wish all these things. Like no, there's no like wishing. It's like Yoda, right? Like you do it or you don't do it. There's no trying. So like for veterans, that would be my advice to them, is like find out what you're passionate about. Just go do it. People are great, but you have to go out there and do it. Also, veterans are so uniquely qualified in so many different categories, but they're disciplined. Yeah. The soft things.
Yeah,
all the great soft things. But we are moving towards a world that is increasingly specialized.
Right.
And that's a challenge too, is you come out, I was like, oh, I was a commander in Afghanistan. Like, oh, who wouldn't want to hire me? Pfft, wrong. Absolutely wrong. So what I realized is like, okay, I have to go get some sort of advanced degree. And so the GI Bill is maybe the most important piece of legislation that's ever been passed in the last century, whatever, 21st century. Because without that, I mean, I don't know, that's how I started MemoryFox and like all these things. And so, yeah, that's a huge piece of it as well, is leveraging the GI Bill. And yeah.
So the storytelling, when you told me, I mean, talk about, see, you said it's all about storytelling. When you were in the Army, you guys would talk and there would be stories. I always say it's...
only half of them are true.
Right, I get that. Because you sit around a campfire, you don't exchange notes, you tell stories.
We actually think of MemoryFox as like, I'm always thinking of how to brand it like this way, but like a digital campfire for your organization, right? And that's what it is. It's just telling stories around a campfire and then collecting them, you know? So that's
great.
I know.
That's it.
I think Campfire is already copyrighted or whatever, so unfortunately I can't. I'll think of something else. Foxfire. Firefox, darn.
Well, we can talk about that. Why can't that be where your brand goes, though? You don't change your name.
Yeah.
That can be your slogan. It can be the verbiage. It can be the supporting.
I tell you, a friend of mine who is a marketing director, she said, we were talking about branding and things like that. And I was like, she's like, what is your favorite thing in the whole world to do? And I was like, sit around a campfire with my friends and have a few beers. Yeah. And she was like, there it is. Exactly it's campfire. That's your favorite thing to do. And I was like, oh, shoot. That's a really good idea. So, but that's the journey, right? Is you're always learning. You always have to be iterating and getting better at your messaging and things like that.
So after the armed forces, you did go ahead and over to UB.
UB School Management. Yeah, great.
Which is great. But you've been working for another, and you did start your business,
yes.
But you didn't become a full-time entrepreneur.
Did not.
At the time of this recording, you're like 5 weeks in.
Yeah.
Yeah, congratulations. Welcome to entrepreneurship. And you have a new baby.
Yes, and I have a new baby, so it was...
So you quit the gig, and now you're full-time.
I'll tell you what, though, you know, nothing makes you more motivated than having a little baby, but... well, the thing is... We didn't want to fully commit until the product was ready. And so when you're iterating, now if we were out in San Francisco and Silicon Valley and I could raise like $2 million to figure out the product, it'd be a different story. But, you know, in places where we don't have as much access to capital, you have to be smart and you have to really take your time, learn about your customers, let them tell you what should be in the product. So you start with a base minimum viable product that's just this like, you know, this little ball of love, and then you get it out to customers, and it's hard, you know, because they're going to tell you whether or not it really gives them value, but they'll tell you what would give it value, and then you build, and then you test, and then you build, and then you test, and you're just iterating until you get to a point where your original, you know, your champions say, you got it, this is the product. And now you can go out to other customers, and then you're going to learn more from those customers. And as long as as long as every day you're getting better and you're building a better product based on customer feedback, you'll get there. So what I would tell entrepreneurs, like, don't rush it. You rush it, you'll fail. I mean, there's startups all the time that get like millions and millions of dollars of funding that fail every single day because they start at the end rather than the beginning, which is like a concept, like storytelling, and then leveraging technology to solve a problem for organizations that need to tell their story better. Well, I didn't know that they wanted it to be guided, right? The guided came from customers. The fact that you don't have to download the app, that it's a web app, that came from customers. We originally were going to build a download app. Well, it turns out at events, nobody's going to download the app. We originally had to provision accounts for everybody, which is a huge pain in the butt. And so they were like, well, what if there was an event code? And then everybody could just log in based on that event code. Oh, boom, it's done. And so these things you learn, they become features. And once you get to a critical mass of these features and synchronize them, now you've got a platform.
You said you're a tech geek, so you can do this stuff, or you have a team? How do you?
Oh, I'm a tech geek, but I don't know what I'm doing when it actually comes to developing. I have a developer who is, John Rich is his name, and he's way above what I would have ever expected to be able to get as a small startup. So he's amazing, and he is able to take these crazy ideas that I have and these insights that we get from customers and kind of parse through it and turn it into action, something that he can build. Without him, we just wouldn't exist. So it's team, right?
Right,
it's just
right.
Team.
So what's next for you? We're going to wrap it up here in a minute or so. But what's next for you and the company?
We're at the point right now where it's just grow.
Yeah.
It's just grow. The product is as done as done can be, and so now we want to create a huge footprint here in Buffalo. Mm-hmm. This is where we're passionate about, and so we're trying to get in every nonprofit and event planner, event space, to be able to have this be our base, and then be able to grow from there. So that's where we're at. It's just really just finding fits with other organizations throughout Western New York.
Well, hopefully this helps you connect with some other people.
Absolutely.
If they're interested. Is it MemoryFox.io? MemoryFox.io for more information, contact information. They reach out to you, and you can custom build whatever it is they're looking for. So this is Chris Miano, founder of MemoryFox, MemoryFox.io. That's it for this edition of Sidewalk Talk. You can download all of our Sidewalk Talk podcasts on your podcast platform of choice, whatever, Apple, iTunes, Spotify. You can also watch any of our podcasts by visiting our website, shovelthesidewalk.com. Also, if you or someone you know wants to be a guest on our show because you have a story that needs to be shared, you can let us know by completing a simple form on our website. So thanks again, Chris.
Hey, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Excellent
this is
story.
fantastic.
Real interesting. Congratulations on the baby. Congratulations on entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
You're great for Western New York. We're glad to have you here.
Thank you for putting this together. This
Absolutely.
is awesome. Storytelling is it's what we do. It's the core human action. It's what connects us and binds us. So thank you for putting this all together and continuing to do this.
Oh man, it's great. We speak the same language, so that's fun. Thanks again for listening. That's it for this edition of Sidewalk Talk. Thanks also for participating. I'm Steve Fortunato, and this has been Sidewalk Talk.